Ladies and gentlemen, it is official. The Philadelphia 76ers have secured the fifth best odds of getting the top pick in the NBA draft with one game left remaining. This long ride of the NBA season is nearly officially over and their outlook is cemented. In addition, we did get a Joel Embiid update with him undergoing a surgery on his injured knees. Do got to tie up some loose ends on this Sixers season. Obviously not one that we are thrilled with how it has gone down, but there is opportunity to build out from here, with it officially being decided that the Sixers will hold the fifth best NBA draft lottery odds. Per Keith Pompey, he tweets out, the Sixers clinched the NBA's fifth worst record with a much-needed 124-110 loss to the Atlanta Hawks Friday night at the Wells Fargo Center. So what exactly does that mean for this perspective? Well, directly from the draft pick, guys, the Sixers hold a 10.5% chance at the number 1 overall pick, a 10.5% chance at the number 2 overall pick, a 10.6% chance at the number 3 overall pick, a 10.4% chance at the number 4 overall pick, just a 2.2% chance at that 5th pick, and a 19.6% chance at that 6th pick there. So to boil these up, to do the math for you, it is a 64% chance of the Sixers keeping their draft pick. Is that ideal? Is that certain? Absolutely not. But is it a lot better than we could have asked for at this stage of the season? I do think that is fair to assess. I do think the Sixers team deserves a hat tip for the tanking effort that they did fully put in. Now, granted, there is the highest opportunity out of this, the 26.7% chance that it does fall down to that 7th spot, and the Sixers do lose their draft pick as it will head to the Oklahoma City Thunder. And to be clear on how this draft process goes, it is only the top 4 picks that the lottery balls are physically picked for, and then it is filled out based on how these standings were decided from there. Why that is so important that the Sixers did get to that 5th pick is because theoretically, if one team is to jump into that top mix, then the Sixers got bumped out of the way if they were in that 6th spot here. Here there's room for 2. So theoretically, and to take a peek at these overall lottery odds, I will pull up on Tankathon here. You can kind of see a better breakdown with the teams that in this case, just in talking in theory, what if the San Antonio Spurs magically get the 1 pick and hop up? If that were to be the case and the Sixers hold the 6th best odds, that they would be bumped out of the top 6 in their entirety as it is filled down from there once the top 4 picks are picked. The fact that they have the 5th seed does allow the window for one team like that to happen. Now granted, there is no way around just acknowledging there is still a 36% chance that the Sixers lose their pick and essentially this entire season was for nothing, but they did give themselves as good of a chance as could possibly be, and a 10.5% chance at Cooper Flag sounds mighty good. Frankly, to me, a win is simply just keeping the pick. That when you do look down the options and the players available here, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into each of this once we do have the actual order decided, but it would be a massive win for me to walking away with one of these young talents. That I view the Sixers' current timeline, the way the state of the team, Joel Embiid has been the cornerstone of this franchise for over a decade at this point. The Tyrese Maxey draft pick, nailing the production and just the level of talent that he is with the 21st pick in the draft, was a huge win and extended the window to win around Joel Embiid. I really do think the Jared McCain draft pick at the 16th overall pick may extend us into a new era of Sixers basketball that I think people are still underselling how good he can be, and my hot take that I will continue to stick through is I think when each of these players hit their peak, that Jared McCain ends up an even better basketball player than Tyrese Maxey as far as his production and what he brings to the team. I do think that is his ceiling. That's what he can get to. This now draft pick is a chance to bridge it all together. That we're not entirely closing the door on Joel Embiid, although we dive deeper into that in a second here, but you have to operate as if this is what you have in front of you. If you can add a Cooper Flag, and you're talking about Flag, McCain, Maxey, as your trio of the future, that is the foundation of a winning franchise for a lot of years to come, and in the short term, Joel Embiid can still step in and give you whatever he can give you. Now, when speaking about Joel Embiid, we did officially get an update for him for the first time since the surgery. The official press release from the Sixers states, Joel Embiid underwent successful arthroscopic surgery on his left knee on Wednesday. The procedure was performed by NYU Lang-Jones Sports Medicine Center by Dr. Jonathan L. Glashnow. Embiid will be reevaluated in approximately 6 weeks. I've never heard a press release that outright said this surgery was a failure. We have no clue what's next, so it would have been a little bit shocked if we heard anything different. But for Joel specifically, it's nice that it is official, it is nice that it's done, and it is nice that the recovery process can begin. With that all being said, I still don't have the highest level of of optimism that this is the surgery that ultimately seals anything. An arthroscopic surgery of this type, you can basically do on any NBA athlete at any point. That every one of these guys has wear and tear, some stuff going on with their knee. That's sort of what this is. There is not a specific injury they are addressing or something that they have set in stone that they're intending on fixing. This is not a foundational. This is not a repair. This is sort of just a, standard run-of-the-mill surgery here. But with all that being said, you can't tell people how their bodies feel. And if Joel thinks he really needed the surgery, I'm going to take his word from it. We're going to see what the results are to this point. Now, to give a little bit of the timeline for the recovery process, it is only a 6-week surgery, which once again is a clear indicator that this is just not the most invasive or notable surgery here. This is sort of the run-of-the-mill, clean it up and keep going. The guys have gotten this surgery and returned during the same season. But to give the full timeline here, shout out to Philly Sixers Galaxy, tweets out, with Joel Embiid having arthroscopic surgery on his left knee today, here's a potential time frame of that recovery. April 11th was the official day of the surgery. May 23rd will be 6 weeks out, approximately when he will get his checkup. June 6th, 8 weeks out. July 4th, 12 weeks out. August 11th, 4 months out. And September 11th, 5 months out. So training camp began on October 1st this prior season, meaning Embiid will have plenty of time to get ready for the next campaign. This should not be something that impacts next season, but it isn't the surgery specifically we're worried about. It is the status of the knee that is the larger question here, and we're not going to know that until we get a look at him on the court. Now, this season started from disaster for Joel, but obviously he was dealing with those knee issues dating back to last season and really the entirety of his whole career. I know he still catches plenty of heat for playing in the Olympics. I still kind of push back on that notion that I think guys are gonna do what they want to do, and I get wanting to play in the Olympics. And I also think for Joel specifically, it probably was the best thing for him to keep playing basketball rather than sitting down and doing whatever. We still don't have a direct answer on what the fix is, and there's a real world where there isn't one. So I'm not gonna come down on him entirely, but what I will say was the start of this regular season in training camp, it was a disaster from the start. Him not playing the first 9 games of the season without a clear injury or a reason why. It is clear there is a disconnect within this organization, and I think that behind the scenes how they're treating it probably is a little bit more important than what the actual results are at this point. That we're probably closer to the utmost friction point in the breakup of Joel Embiid with the Sixers organization than we've ever been before. And while I understand some of you are probably eager that you've had enough of the Joel Embiid era, I know there are those people out there. I don't see any world in which the Sixers can trade Joel Embiid and improve their chances of winning moving forward, at least not right now. That every other team in the league sees the same exact issues they deal with. They see the injury concerns, they note the missed games, and obviously not when he was on the floor, not looking like the Joel Embiid, the MVP version that we've come to know last year. So a lot to still kind of bookend on Joel there. We probably aren't going to know really anything until next season tips off. That I would be shocked if we get anything outside of the normal PR speak or normal run-of-the-mill updates, that it won't be until training camp or until we get a look at Joel on the court, how he's moving, all these kind of things, as we do have a judge from here. And that is why with this next point here, that I do think the Sixers need to enter the draft with the mindset of we're taking the best player available pretty much regardless of position. And to be frank here, I would be more prone to taking a big man than I would be taking a guard, with all things equal at this point. And we're confident what we have with Tyrese Maxey, with Jared McCain. Those are good to great young guards that can be foundational pieces of the future. Everything outside of that is still up for grabs at this point. Now, granted, is there a world where Joel can return next season and be the guy that we've known him to be for the better part of a decade to this point, to look like a franchise cornerstone, a superstar player? I'm not entirely ruling it out, but I think it's very naive to bank on that being the case there. So if it is Kamen Maluak as the best player available, if they're sitting there at the 6th seed, and I probably don't think that is the case there. I probably don't. We'll see. We'll get into those conversations once things are set in stone. But just in theory here, you make that decision. I still would love a guy that can accomplish both. Cooper Flagg, I think, is very clearly in that category. Ace Bailey, I would throw in that category. You can get guys that can help in both directions, that can be a piece beyond the Joel era, but play next to him as well. But I do want to put that out there, that from a theoretical standpoint, the Sixers should be approaching this draft with we're making the best decision for our franchise, not the best decision for Joel Embiid. Ultimately, we'll see what happens from here. There is just one more game remaining in this painful season. Shout out to the Sixers for doing a nice job tanking down the stretch and giving themselves the best lottery odds possible. Once again, it is a 64% chance of the Sixers retaining their pick and a 10.5% chance at that number 1 overall draft pick. Cooper Flagg come to Philadelphia. So we will see how things shake out. There is one more game remaining as they will take on the Chicago Bulls. for the first time in several months, I'm going to be rooting for the Sixers in this one. I do hope they end this season on a high note. These guys have taken their lumps over these past couple weeks. The Lonnie Walkers, the Quentin Grimes. Shout out to Colin Castleton getting a standard contract with the Toronto Raptors, who played quite well in Philadelphia. So shout out to Colin, and shout out to you guys for suffering through it with me. I do appreciate each and every one of you guys tuning into this video more than you do know there. It has been a nightmare season from just about all parts there. So thank you for continuing to rock with me. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button if you have not already. Drop a like on this video. I'll be back talking with you next time right here on Sixers Digest. Peace.